president said the House bill was mean. The Senate bill may be meaner.
Meaner. It is heartless.
You can put a lace collar on a pit bull, and it's still a mean dog.
So sad, Mr. President. Heartless. Mean and heartless.
Wow. How could they? Not Republicans, Democrats. Mean and heartless? Folks, I'm departing a little bit from form here to say that I've had a chance to examine the latest Senate health care proposal and then the Democrats' proposal, the one that's trying to become the law versus the one that already is. And let's just say I have a very different definition of mean and a very, very different take on heartless. If Republicans still spending hundreds of billions of dollars on health care is mean, please tell me what constitutes nice. If still covering people with pre-existing conditions is heartless, what exactly shows heart? If keeping kids on your policy longer matters when Democrats do it, it doesn't when Republicans do it. If Democrats bemoaning Republicans wanting to pay for all of that is reckless, then I guess Democrats not too concerned about how you pay for all of that makes them clueless. If Barack Obama calls this Senate attempt a massive transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich, wasn't he the one who started this transfer in reverse, exploding cost on the poor and the rich? No, my friends, this is not about a massive transfer of wealth. It is about a massive departure from reality. I'm the geek here. I've done the math. What's mean, my friends, is doubling premiums you promised would stay low. What is mean is limiting their options for care when you promised they would still have plenty of options for care. What is mean is saying you can keep your doctor when you can't keep your doctor. What is mean is forcing young people to pay up for coverage when maybe they can't afford that coverage. What is mean is saying government subsidies will help when they won't, or plenty of state exchanges will have their back when they can't. What is mean? Premium increases that keep soaring and coverage that keeps shrinking. What's mean is telling folks health care is like money in the bank, even if it means no money left in their pocket. That is what's mean. That is what's heartless. Not Republicans introducing Democrats to something called math, but Democrats who concocted this mess, ignoring that math. What is heartless is telling folks it is deplorable to do things in secret, when in fact the Affordable Care Act itself was cooked up in secret. You remember the closed doors? They're not pretty. But Chuck Schumer lecturing anyone on keeping them open, well, that's pretty stupid. What's heartless is when the same Chuck Schumer says this Senate measure will send costs soaring while refusing to see those costs already are soaring. What is heartless is saying Republicans are actually killing people. They actually said that. When, in fact, what is really heartless is year after year of Obamacare lemmings lying to people, all the people, about deductibles now pricier than some premiums and premiums pricier than most can afford. Now, if that is compassion, what counts for clueless? If that shows heart, how then to explain this present-day healthcare hell? That is what is heartless. That is over-the-top hypocrisy on the left. That is what is mean. It shows a cavalier disregard for facts the left chooses to ignore and a phony interest in the health of folks for whom liberals couldn't care less. You know, these Republican plans aren't perfect. I've said so and reported on this show many, many times. But they're out there because the law they hope to replace isn't remotely close to even passable. Actually, you could argue Republicans aren't doing any favors by replacing one big old omnibus government health care program with a slightly less big old government health care program. That proves Republicans are not financial saints, but that does not mean they're moral sinners. I just find it odd that the same folks who feared Republicans would repeal health care have in fact gone to great lengths, those Republicans, to secure health care, oddly keeping the one thing they said they would rip apart. God knows it isn't helping the grand old party, but don't you find it a little grand, a little rich, that somehow they're getting the blame for the disaster of Obamacare? That's no party. Then there are the facts. And not President Obama himself getting any blame, who seems to have conveniently forgotten all of those empty promises behind Obamacare. You know what? He made those promises. Democrats pushed those promises. And now they're lecturing Republicans about breaking promises. I figure there's enough blame to go around, my friends, for programs that promise too much. I just find it the height of chutzpah for Democrats now to call Republicans for doing too little. We need a stethoscope, all right, not to find whether there's any heart in this latest Republican plan, but to confirm whether Democrats have any heart at all. So I'm very sorry to ramble on here to kick off a show, but this whole narrative of blaming Republicans for this mess, man, oh man, it is way off and more than a bit much. I just gave you the facts. I just broke down the numbers. I just told you the good and bad on each. But for one party to claim the other party is all bad, that Republicans are the one who concocted a mess they're trying to fix, that's a bit rich. To Betsy McCoy, author of Beating Obamacare, who was the first to seize on developments that didn't add up then, she joins us now. Betsy, I was hearing this mainstream narrative that was played out in paper after paper, website after website, news channel after news channel, and it was identical. Identical. It's
That's
appalling.
right. It's divisive demagoguery. It's dishonesty at its height. But the fact is, this bill doesn't transfer wealth from the poor to the rich. It transfers money from the government to the economy, where it's intended to boost jobs and land in the pockets of working people. That's the Trump agenda: rewarding work, dignifying work. So it repeals the job-killing employer mandate, and it repeals about $600 billion in job-killing taxes, including the 3.8% surcharge on investments. And the result will be a booming economy. In many ways, this repeal bill is the beginning of the economic recovery.
Well, we could, argue over the particulars and whether this will do that and deliver the goods, but I just found it shocking, especially in a lot of very popular newspapers today, to say Republicans are to blame for the morass that is the health care now, as if they created this. As things stand now, the problems are with the law itself that exists.
That's right.
Not what they're coming up to fix it. So when Americans are asked, well, we don't like the Republican plan, first of all, they've not been given an honest assessment of a Republican plan, because we only recently just got this one. The point and the dissatisfaction of the frustration with health care coverage is what's out there and available right now. And a lot of Americans are very anxious about it right now.
Also, the Democrats are demagoguing the issue of putting some sort of framework of controls and responsibility on Medicaid. But Medicaid was intended as a safety net. Now, 74 million Americans are enrolled in Medicaid, 20 million more than in Medicare, the program for the elderly. In fact, here's an astounding fact. Half of all the women in the United States who give birth have Medicaid pay for it. Half. That's not a safety net.
And it's an unsustainable one. You could tax the rich at 100%. You could put surtaxes on top of surtaxes to keep this going, and it couldn't possibly keep up with this. So to acknowledge the faultiness of the math misses the bigger point that it's not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. It is a very real issue.
It is.
And we get into this talking point nonsense and crap to go off on a tangent that has nothing to do with the reality of the numbers that are not sustainable.
That's right. And also, you will hear in this divisive demagoguery this talk of blood money. I'm quoting there Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Can you believe that?
It's astounding. The fact is, everyone who is currently enrolled in Medicaid is grandfathered in. So the concept of losing their coverage, that's a total lie. It is true that this bill will slow down future enrollment in Medicaid, and that is desperately needed. What Obamacare did was to say to the states, to the governors, enroll as many people as you can, and the federal government will pick up the entire tab. So, of course, they irresponsibly expanded Medicaid way beyond what's affordable to rake in all those federal dollars. And not only that, but they didn't even pay attention to how the money was spent. An astounding 9.8%, 10% of Medicaid spending are wrong payments. Any business with that record would be out of business.
But, the bottom line, when it's been characterized as me, and I always think, when I see a pile-on in the media, there's not even an attempt to balance it out, and there's a great sense of this person's going to be deprived of this benefit, someone's going to be deprived of this. We are all stuck with the costs that have accelerated because of this. And I think when people are sold a bill of goods, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to step back, Look at the numbers. I don't care if you're right or left, Republican or Democrat. Look at the math, and the math isn't sustainable. And to fix this, and you can have plenty of problems, plenty of issues with the way Republicans are going about fixing this, or whether now a fifth senator who's concerned about this Senate measure is a sign that it is doomed in the Senate. The fact of the matter is none of this would be attempted right now, and none of this would be considered right now if it wasn't such a crappy measure in the first place and people were losing money hand over fist and costs were rising at triple the rate they were. I mean, we wouldn't even be in this position if it was working like a charm. It
and
wasn't.
Neil,
it isn't.
Obamacare is also weighing down and depressing the economy. We can't get from 1% growth to 3% growth, the president's goal, unless we repeal the parts of Obamacare that are killing job creation. And that's what this Senate bill does. It repeals the employer mandate, and it repeals the taxes that are depressing job growth.
All right, Betsy, thank you very, very much. I apologize you for getting so worked up, and I hope you folks at home will understand my getting worked up. But sometimes when I see just one number lie after one number lie, I'm not taking a party position on this. I could care less. The president doesn't come onto this show, doesn't flip over me. I have no agenda here. My agenda is the truth. And you are being sold a bill of goods based on the notion that people are trying to make one party look heartless simply because it sees a program and an initiative and a health care measure that has proven clueless. The facts are there. This can't work. This cannot be sustained. It's got to stop. And into this break, so shall I. More after this.